This is one of the world's best family coasters, and it is not getting the attention it deserves. Aquila opened at Mandoria in Poland in 2025. It is an indoor launch coaster manufactured by Vekoma, using linear induction motors to launch riders up to 44 miles per hour. It has a maximum height of only 53 feet and just under 1,500 feet of track. But it is not the stats that make the experience. Mandoria is a completely indoor theme park. It's only been operating for a couple of years. Akila is their fourth roller coaster, and up until this point is their largest in operation. That will change once they open up their first outdoor roller coaster later this year. Aquila, though, will be tough to top. It's remarkably well-paced, has a completely custom soundtrack, a highly detailed queue, and one of the most fluid ride experiences on any roller coaster I've ever experienced. Vekoma has really been leading the pack as of lately when it comes to family coasters, and this new product line of LAM launch coasters really blends the line between family and thrill. As of right now, there's only 3 in operation. The first was Big Bear Mountain at Dollywood, followed by Lightning at Furvik in Sweden. And while I have not experienced Lightning for myself, Big Bear and Aquila are easily some of the best family coasters I've ever done. And I'm a sucker for a good indoor coaster. I love all the ones at Disney and Universal, and Aquila fits right in line with those. One of the most beautiful presentations for any attraction. Aquila is positioned at the back of Mandoria. This is a park completely inspired by Roman architecture. So you'll pass through all these beautiful themed lands, and when you get to Aquila, all you can see is this one turn over the front entrance. They've hid most of the attraction. You can see a couple moments from in the queue, but for the most part, it's a mystery of what this ride actually does. The name Aquila comes from a sacred bird used by Jupiter in Roman mythology. It represents strength and speed, and in Latin actually translates to eagle. I feel like all of those traits are accurate to this experience. As you enter the line, you'll get glimpses of an armory, all these tapestries, a huge battering ram. It's incredible. The best queue of any ride in Poland, and probably one of my favorite queues worldwide. It succeeds in telling a story and getting you hyped for what you're about to experience. The screams of riders just surround you on all sides as the train passes around, but because of the positioning and the lighting, it's very tough to get a grasp of the order of operations here, where the ride came from and where it's going next. As you enter the station, you'll get an up-close glimpse of the train, which is meant to look like a battering ram. Up ahead, you'll see a chimney and this wall that looks like something busted through it. Well, that was the train that you're on right now. Aquila begins with a gradual launch that really builds up speed there towards the end. 0 to 44 miles per hour in 3 seconds. As you propel through the wall and under these arches all lit up in a line, you'll bank to the right up a pretty forceful turn that is your highest moment, some 50 feet in the air. The only light you get is from this window on the one side, and there's a near miss on the right with a steel beam. The designers used every single inch of available height here. Those clearances are crazy tight, which also helps increase the sense of speed. It's also so dark there you have no idea what's coming next, which happens to be Aquila's largest drop. Now there are 4 potential airtime moments during Aquila's layout. This ride, like Vekoma's other family coasters, has a Class 3 restraint. That means you can't go under 0G, otherwise known as floater airtime. So what they've done here is push the limits where you get close to 0G, the most prominent of which I'll talk about in a second, but I think for me, the more notable force was the positives because of how sustained they were. Following this drop, you'll thread through these narrow walls into this little double up. It barely feels like the train is gonna fit, which is pretty much the running theme of this entire experience. You are constantly cutting in and out of buildings, which is just incredible. You weave to the left and then switch directions sharply to the right, now threading above the queue right up against the ceiling. And as you drop down to the ground, you then emerge into daylight. There's the one moment of the coaster you get that's outside, although technically it's still inside. You emerge into the daylight. There's that most prominent airtime moment I felt. Pretty close to 0G as you're hanging there at an angle. You dive back through a building. You can literally see like the windows on either side here. It's like if you built a roller coaster in your house and had to weave it through each room. That's what this experience is. You keep banking to the right, once again outside, then back in the darkness. This is a 180-degree turn that actually passes out over the launch track. You get the slightest little bump there in the middle to help add some variation to the turn. You then switch directions to the left-hand side back through the queue under some wood beams, and then a real low left-handed turn up against the ground that lines you up with that launch track, and then you propel through the station, not stopping even in the slightest as you do the entire layout over again. The only real difference is as you propel through that rock wall again, those arches are not lit up, so this time, most of the launch is in complete darkness. So that means it's even more of a surprise when you take that large right-handed bank turn to your highest point. So it's almost 1,500 feet of track, but really, you're experiencing about 3,000 feet of track. And sometimes when the track length is so short, you kind of need to go around twice to like justify the wait time. But I think Aquila would be a pretty satisfying roller coaster even if it just went around once. So the fact that you get 2 laps and you get to keep up that momentum is really fantastic. Nothing in this layout feels repetitive, and for a ride that never goes high above the ground, it is remarkably well paced. After the second lap around, when you then re-enter the station and slow to a stop, you're like taking a breather like, whoa, what was that? And from an engineering perspective, I'm also so impressed with the rate the floor rises up to the top. You haven't even stopped moving and the floor is already in place. It's so quick and efficient, which, as of right now, Mandoria is very much a new up-and-coming park. This is the ride, at least for me, that put them on the map. I'll be very curious in seeing how it affects their overall attendance. When I went, I never had to wait more than like 10 minutes for Aquila, but they certainly have the queue space to accommodate those crowds. I really wish this park all the success in the future, because this is the type of attraction I would expect at a place like Efteling or Phantasialand. But no, it's at this random park in Poland, and they worked really hard to make this thing happen, constructing an entire building just to accommodate that first turn. The last curve runs right up against the exit path, and the building that they had was not big enough, so they had to extend it by a few meters. And even though I rode it about 6 months after it opened, believe it or not, they were not done perfecting that experience. Potentially more lighting and even smoke effects. So it's possible that when you go out to experience this, the ride will feel like even more of a production than what you're seeing right now. And I think that's what makes this such a solid experience. They were obviously constrained by space, and that inspired creativity. Now we have a layout that wouldn't exist if it was outdoors. The park has dressed it up just incredibly well, and it feels like more than just a roller coaster. It's a show. You are put in the center of all the action. So if we want to talk final scores for Aquila, this is an easy 10 out of 10. I think it would make my holy trinity of family coasters, like right up there with Megalodon at Walibi, Belgium, and probably Big Bear Mountain at Dollywood. As a coaster enthusiast, I was completely satisfied. I was running around to do this over and over again, and I saw kids on this thing. They were just having a blast. That's how you know you have an incredible attraction, when literally anyone can ride it and have a good time. That's a tough balance, and the teams at Vekoma and Mandoria should be proud of their accomplishments. So if you get the chance, I highly recommend you visit Mandoria in Poland to go experience Akila. And you can let me know in the comments below if you've ridden this attraction, if you agree with the points that I brought up. If you're new to the channel, please consider checking out the Coaster Reviews playlist. I've reviewed rides from all over the world, and they're all organized in alphabetical order by the attraction's name. Go see if your favorite is on there. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.